Everybody is probably going to say the same thing, or at least the same as me, about my biggest surprise, person, place, or thing. But it was the location. I mean, ugh, give me a break. Writing this script with John Russell Crane, of course, you have certain things in your mind, and, like the people who own the motel live at the motel in like a little house at the motel, and there's a pool, and there's woods, and like there's all these different elements, and you're like, yeah, well, that's their problem. As writers, you're like, that's the filmmaker's problem. But to actually have found a location that was exactly as written was completely shocking. I think everybody who stepped on set was in awe of how perfect it was. So that was the most surprising thing to me.
My biggest surprise in production of This Is Nowhere. Um, my biggest surprise was when we were like at the final day or second day before final day. I think it was day 13 out of 14 days in our whirlwind production schedule. We had an outdoor scene on this road, and I had said to John and Tracy, so we have it all locked and secure and we're all good, right? And they're like, yeah, we're all good, we're all good. So, you know, we get there and there's like cars going back and forth, and we're like, I mean, it was a gorgeous road, and it looked like it was going to be a beautiful scene. We just had one issue of these cars. So John, the big father figure of film that he is, he's like, oh, I'll save it. So he goes and he's like, stopped traffic. He's blocking traffic, and he's like, we're on the phone. He's like, were they good yet? Are they good? And we're like, oh, not yet. A little bit longer. We got to get the shot in. And that's part of the reason it's great to have two co-directors, right? Because you know that if something happens with the one director, the other director is there. And so, long story short, we get the shot. It looks brilliant. We had lots of time thanks to John, who was like basically, you know, playing lockdown at the beginning of this dirt road in the middle of really nowhere in the Catskills, like somewhere some off the beaten path. And John comes back and he's got a beer in his hand. And I'm like, John, like, how'd you get this beer? It's like, oh yeah, you know, this one guy who was driving, he had some extra beers and he decided to give one to me because he liked me. So I was like, all right, this is an indie movie. Yes, this is an indie movie, and this is not just any indie movie. This is a blessed indie movie where the people you stop out of the blue so they can get the shot on the like this like out of the nowhere setup sort of guerrilla style shot end up giving you a beer and thanks.
The casting of Darcy for this movie kept me up at night a little bit because it was so important. I mean, it's like casting Lolita or casting Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. And what Gus Burney was able to bring to this film, you know, and the fact that this was her first feature film, just literally put me in awe. And I think one of the really exciting things that Heidi and I get to experience here as directors is that we get to debut, to introduce somebody to the world that people are going to be talking about for a really long time.